This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Today was it was very humid, but it was overcast, so they made it a lot more tolerable. But it was good work by the Dolphins. For a second consecutive day, the big story out here, obviously, is Tom Brady not being there. But that doesn't change what the Dolphins did more so on the offensive side of the ball than on the defensive side of the ball, because Blaine Gabbert, no offense, ain't no Tom Brady.
No, yeah. And how about Trask? I mean, he's a world beater.
and Ryan Griffin, our other quarterback. I mean, that is
all right. So Sunday, he had a clean day. Then Wednesday, he had a clean day, apparently. But today, Connor Williams struggled some. Talk to me a little bit about the snapping and the issues, because I was hoping he could string together several clean days, because that's the one area he can't. You're going to miss blocks. You're going to get manhandled by somebody. Somebody's going to beat you, but you can't make the wrong calls on the line, and you can't. You got to snap the ball every single time perfectly. There can't be a mistake there. Walk me through it. Are we getting to the point where we're pretty close at panicking?
I don't know. There was one today that I noticed. I think there were two that weren't perfect. There was one that forced Tua to kind of like, it wasn't even a jump. It was like a little stretch over his head. It wasn't completely egregious. It wasn't like the bad ones he had earlier on. So I don't know. I don't know that we're much more to the point of panic than we were before. Let's see what happens in the game Saturday, because I certainly would expect him to play.
Yes.
Unlike some others.
And Armstead's the only one that shouldn't play. Right?
Correct. And I asked Armstead, as a matter of fact, today after practice, what his history was recently in preseason games. And he basically said he couldn't remember the last time he played. And to me, it would be borderline negligence for him to be out there. And the way Mike McDaniel was saying it also kind of sounds like Tua's probably not playing either.
Well, I think that comes from you've practiced well. Now you've scrimmaged well. Yeah, let me not put you at risk. We're good with you doing right? I would imagine that that's what it is, that they've been satisfied overall with the practices. And that's the beauty of these scrimmages, because Alain, they get more out of these scrimmages probably than they do in a damn preseason game.
No, and it's also more reps than you would get in a preseason game. I mean, let's say.
Great point.
I think yesterday I charted him at 14 for 19 passing. That doesn't include the running play. So let's say he got 30 snaps. He plays 2 series in the preseason games. That may be 20 snaps if he has 2 long drives. It could be as little as few as 6 snaps if it's 2, 3 and out. So, right. Yeah, there's not much work, and he has run the offense very efficiently. So, yeah, there's no reason to have him out there. There really isn't. And Tyreek Hill, I asked Tyreek the same question about his recent history of preseason games, and he said, yes, he's played. And to me, there's no need for him to be out there. There really isn't. No.
I wouldn't play him and Waddle. I'd play all the young guys. Anyways, that's good. You want to play all these young guys because you've got to figure them out. Dude, is Austin Jackson holding his own, can we say?
He's holding his own. Yeah, we can say that. There's
like, I don't hear you guys writing about, oh my God, he got beat terrible. And he was like the last 2 years when you guys would go out to he's practice. My God, the reports were horrible. They're not sounding that bad now. They're like, I guess they're doing all right. You tell me.
No, there's clear improvements. And at this point, I say he certainly looks like a serviceable right tackle. Obviously, you hope for more.
That's monster.
Not there yet.
That's monster progress right there. Just being serviceable from where he was at. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Correct. Yeah. And because then here's the thing, because if we're going to be honest, if we're looking at the other 2021 first round pick, Noah's taken some major steps back. He got exposed in these joint practices, and right now he does not look like a serviceable cornerback. So that's concerning, and there's reason for optimism in the case of Austin Jackson. I'll give you one tidbit though, and even though it needs to be taken for what it's worth, and this is going to be part of when I'm done with you, I'm going to go do my practice observations, and it's going to be included in it. Like they did the one-on-one pass blocking drills, pass rusher versus offensive lineman right in front of us, and the guy who like completely jumped out as having like a really really great rep. He had like three winning reps was Larnell Coleman, which really was eye catching to me.
Wow. You know, I carry around. I carry this around with me everywhere I go. And the inside of here is a nitrogen pill. And the nitrogen pill is just in case I have a heart attack. It has to be in the dark constantly. And then I got to unscrew it and, put it under my tongue. God forbid I hope I never have one. But when you have 5 stents in your heart, these are the things that you got to live with now. And so I swear you, if I would have seen Larnell Coleman win 3 straight times, I just want you to know this. And Sean, by the way, this is my nitrogen. Make sure you reach for this, and so you can save my life, because that right there. I would have had a heart attack. Larnell Coleman has been so bad. You tell me, hey, I've been saying this from last year. It's been all coaching. If Larnell Coleman it is all coaching, bro. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's not all coaching. He's also a year removed. Let's not forget he's a year removed from arriving as a rookie who played at UMass, who probably never saw any kind of pass rusher anywhere near what he saw in his first training camp last year. And he just looked out of his league, overmatched.
Yeah.
And even in camp this year, again, he hasn't looked overmatched.
Wow, coaching.
That was impressive. Mind you, it wasn't like Shaq Barrett or Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He was standing up, but regardless,
still doesn't matter.
It was very impressive.
Doesn't matter.
Correct.
Doesn't matter.
Impressive.
Yeah, because they've coached him up, because he looked completely lost. Like he, when you look at Skylar Thompson, and I've loved him from day one. Why? Because his talent looks like he belongs in the NFL. It's just he's so green, you don't even know if he'll be able to, fine tune it to play at this level. But the ability is there. With Larnell Coleman last year, he never looked like an NFL player. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
That's the difference there. With Skylar, you can deal with the mistakes because there are the wow moments. And by the way, he continues to do the wow moments, doesn't he?
He had a great practice. He had a couple of throws that were like, damn, nice.
You know they're developing a problem now. That's a problem. They're going to be forced to keep him on the regular roster. If he continues to play well in a quarterback-starved league, somebody will sign him to their squad, to their regular season roster, to their regular roster, and they'll take him from Miami. There's no doubt in my mind. If he continues to play well, is what I'm saying. You don't think
correct.
so?
If he lights it up in preseason, then yeah, absolutely. But let's say if he has an uneven preseason, which is what you'd expect from a rookie 7th round pick, then to me it'd be. I understand it's a QB starved league, but he's going to be a rookie 7th round pick wherever he goes, and I don't think if the Dolphins decide we can't carry 3 QBs, that same conversation is going on around the rest of the league. So,
but Nagi, you're Seattle, you're Carolina, you're some of these teams that aren't really strong at the quarterback position, and you're like, hey man, because the thing about that kid is he has wow moments, and there are throws that you're like, whoa, that's a big league throw, bro, and that's why I think, and if that kind of film gets around and he shows a little, somebody's going to steal him, because there's always that coach that says, hey, I can get more out of that guy. Hey, we need a guy like that here just in case. We don't really trust the guy we have, that kind of stuff. So I can see somebody doing, like, if he continues to play well. That's all I'm saying.
that's fair.
And by the way, how about this? If he continues to play well to a certain extent, that you have to keep him on the roster, You then, by trading deadline, you might be moving Teddy Bridgewater for a draft pick.
Well, then you're putting yourself in the position of relying on a rookie 7th-round pick. If something happens to Tua, and history has shown us that Tua probably more than likely is going to miss some game time.
Yep.
And there's their comfort level there with having Bridgewater as your backup, that even though he's not a high-level NFL starter,
he struggled a little. He struggled a little today, right? He struggled a little today. He struggled a little today, didn't he?
He didn't get team drill reps. It was all Tua and Skylar. So I don't know how anybody can say.
Was it yesterday? Oh, yesterday was the day he
yes.
threw. Yeah, he didn't throw yesterday well.
So
yeah,
I don't know if today that was the plan to get Skylar a ton of reps in team drills, or there's minor issue. Remember, there was a day at practice where Bridgewater had some minor issue, which is why they gave Skylar all of the team reps that Tua wasn't taking. So I don't know what the status is today.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. Eichenberg, anything else stand out for you in practice?
Tyreek is fast. Sorry for stating the obvious.
But no, but on the all, just to kind of finish on the O line, anything from Eichenberg, Hunt? I'm not worried about Armstead. We talked about Connor. How about the other two guys?
No,
apparently Robert Jones had a good practice too. Is that true?
He was great in the one-on-ones also. I did not notice anything. I know there was a touchdown pass at one point in team drills, and there was a flag on the play. Never saw the official make the signal based on where it was located at to be an offensive holding. I don't know. I couldn't see who it was on. There were some plays where there was some movement there. There were a decent number of sacks allowed again, though. Like was it yesterday? I think I counted like maybe 7 sacks against. And again, understand that in team drills, the second somebody gets close to the quarterback, that guy up, and a lot of times they continue with the play. The quarterback's going to go through and throw a pass, and then you'll see some fans go nuts with wow, well, look at that pass. Well, had this been a game, the play was over 5 seconds ago. So, so that's why I always put that caveat there. No, it was, yeah. I will tell you this. This is to me like the barometer. Like I always reflect on past joint practices.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we have to count for the fact that Brady wasn't there. But the Dolphins, to me, absolutely held their own against the Bucs if they didn't look like the better team.
Well, yesterday apparently the defense won a lot against Brady, correct?
It also lost. I mean, that was overblown. I mean,
but that's good.
No, correct.
I can't expect people to dominate, but dude, they wouldn't have won against Brady at all the last couple of years. I mean, it's just
no, correct.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged by that. Like, for example, if I go back, I'm going to go back like 5 years ago. It was like drastic and eye-catching how much they were overmatched when they had joint practices against the Eagles.
Yeah.
And you remember in 2017, the Dolphins were coming off a playoff season.
Yeah.
And they looked overmatched, and it turned out the Eagles, who were really, really good on both lines of scrimmage, wound up going and winning the Super Bowl, and the Dolphins flopped and winning in a year where they wound up with
a couple of years ago. You guys were at a Falcons practice, I think, and that
was last year.
And they embarrassed Miami too in the Falcons practice, right? And the Falcons weren't that good.
See, I don't recall that. I remember the Dolphins.
I remember correctly. It wasn't good reports coming out of the Falcons practices from you guys.
For some reason, I don't remember. I remember the Bears last year. The Dolphins like holding their own against the Bears, but not. It was fair. It bearing fairly even. I don't remember. For some reason, I remember the Atlanta practices. Either team dominating.
I don't know why I remember you guys talking that the offense was just absolutely terrible against the Falcons last year. I mean, I really, you can't expect that offense to be that good as it is. All right. Young receivers. I'm not worried about Waddle and Tyreek. I know those guys are going to be studs. What else happened outside of those two guys?
River Craycraft keeps making plays, and to me, he's moving, becoming more and more the solid number 6 if they keep 6. I don't think you can crop the top 5 because to me, that top 5 is completely locked in.
Yep.
But he had a catch today in the end zone. It was also a great throw by Tua, the back of the end zone. Waddle had a nice catch, absorbing contact at the goal line. But Craycraft made a couple of catches. He had a really nice catch yesterday, and dude makes plays on special teams. Did not notice Lynn Bowden one time in either of the two practices. I think Preston might have had one catch yesterday. He also had a target where the DB undercut him to make a pick against Teddy, which also happened in practice in Miami. And it's either a coincidence that both times the DB undercut the route, or he's not running a precise route and making it sharp enough and, sealing the defender and preventing him from undercutting it. So, yeah, River Craycraft's the guy among the young receiver. Didn't notice Braylon Sandwards or Zukama very much today. Sherfield had a couple of catches. But, yeah, Craycraft's the guy who's standing out right now among the young receivers.
All right, secondary, another rough day, I would imagine, for Noah.
Yeah, it was rough. Trill Williams had a nice pick in the end zone.
Oh, good.
Brandon Jones getting physical with the Tampa Bay guys. It looked yesterday in the 2-minute drill that they were start getting into it because Brandon kept giving a little extra pop at the end of every play. And today was Duke Riley who was getting under their skin. He was involved in two little, one just like yapping back and forth, and the other one broke out a little scuffle, and a whole bunch of players gathered, but didn't look like any punches were thrown.
Okay. Anybody else on the secondary stand out, safety-wise, anything else?
No, but having said that, my eyes were a lot more focused on the Dolphin offense. And even though I was standing between two fields and trying to catch as many plays on both sides as possible, a lot of times the snaps were at the same time, and I can only look in one direction.
My bad. You did the right. You did the right thing. I'm now thinking like you. There's no Brady. Why am I going to go check the defense out? They're not really being tested. Let me focus on the offense that's really going to be tested more than the defense is. So I totally understand what you were doing. It makes a lot of sense. Without Brady there, it's just not the same. You know what I mean? We're talking about Keon Crossan making a great play, but you made it against Blaine Gabbert. And so that's kind of what kind of takes away from the whole thing. I totally understand that. So let's go back to the offense. Talk to me about the tight
one
ends.
second. Quick point. It's not only no Brady. Today was no Justin Gage, no Mike Evans, no Brashad Perryman, no Julio Jones. So
yeah, right, exactly. All right, so Omar, who kills Mike Gesicki on the non-blocking, which we all know he's really not a blocker, but it's like something that eats him up alive that you can't have a tight end that doesn't block, which is crazy because lots of teams have tight ends that don't block as long as they're great pass catchers. I always tell Omar, I go, Omar, this has been going on for years. Keith Jackson didn't want to block. Hell, he didn't even want to practice. But on Sunday, he was balling left and right, catching everything in sight. So that's all that matters, my man. But they were actually writing about Gesicki blocking. So talk to me. Did you see the same thing? Did you see Gesicki having some success as a blocker?
I didn't notice, and if I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't really looking for it.
Okay.
Because again, without the benefit, if I'm like watching a game replay, I can allow myself to see the same play 3 times, and then one of those times I'll focus strictly on Gesicki and see what he did. If I'm trying to chart practice, if I focus strictly on Gesicki and his blocking, then I'm missing what happens with you. I try to look at overall and see as many things as I can, but I'll be honest with you, I'd be lying if I told you I noticed anything one way or the other. I did notice he dropped a pass in the end zone.
Okay. All right. I mean, that I don't even get concerned with that because that's catching is not a problem for him. I'm not worried about that. He can have a bad and when you're not using him a lot, that kind of puts you to a little bit of a test there to kind of keep your focus a little bit there. How do you see this whole tight end situation breaking down? Because you're not really seeing a lot of the offensive side of it. And I wonder if they're trying to hide it or they're really purposely wanting them to focus on the blocking.
No, I think. Look, if you go by starts, the guy who had the most starts the last couple of years wasn't Gesicki, it was Durham Smythe. And Gesicki ended up with the most snaps on offense, but it wasn't by a large margin. My expectation is that's going to change this year, and it's going to be Smythe who's going to have the most snaps on offense among the tight ends. And I see Gesicki as a guy who's going to be a specialist. You're going to see him red zone, third down, where they'll take full advantage of his pass catching ability. And I think Hunter Long is going to get sprinkled in there as well. I could see either Smythe or Seaton Carter also at times maybe being used as a fullback if for some reason Alec Ingold either is injured or needs a breather or something to that effect. So that's my vision for the usage of the tight ends.
By the way, the trade was a smart one, right? You move Shaheen, you move up around, you clear up cap space. You had a cluttered room at that spot. You were going to have to let him go probably. And you got a Houston pick, which should be a bad pick, which should be a higher 6-rounder than the one that you would have had. So it's actually, overall, I thought it was a pretty decent trade for them. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, no question, because, again, the overriding factor here is, like you said, I would have been shocked if they kept 5 tight ends again this year. Right. And to me, Shaheen was number 5 of the 5 guys. So he wasn't making the team. You got something for him, and you got rid of his cap space. So, yeah.
And I think it shows you also a little view of what's coming. For those of us that keep thinking that the back end of the wide receiver spot, you're not going to have to be a two-way player. Well, that's what Seaton is, bro. He's a two-way player. That's what Smythe is. He's a two-way player. They help you out on special teams. And when we start looking at Preston and Mohamed Sanu and all these other guys that you have on the back end, they're not two-way players like Sherfield is, like the other guy that you just talked about, Craycraft. And this is what's going to hurt, Lynn Bowden Jr. and all these other guys, that they're not factors on special teams. And those 2 guys are impactful players for them on special teams.
No question. And if you're going to be somebody who's going to make the team without playing special teams, you have to be, I don't want to use the word special because that's too much, but you have to be a factor,
right?
Your side of the ball. And part of it is because he hasn't really been featured or targeted or whatever, but Lynn Bowden's been practically invisible in camp.
Yeah.
Where I know some of us were like we were intrigued by the possibilities with him, and
I had some fans that thought he could be Deebo Samuel. I was just like, yeah, you're smoking way too much. Well,
it's understandable.
Put the alcohol down, please.
Big O. It's understandable because of how he was used at Kentucky and everything he did, and also the open field things that he did as a rookie in 2020. But first of all, he's not the athlete Deebo is. He doesn't have the same body type as Deebo. He's not nearly as thick as Deebo to be able to do it. I mean, again, there's a reason there's not a whole lot of players around the league who do what Deebo does.
No, that's freakish what he does. Not very smart, but it's freakish. You're not going to have a long football life playing like that. All right, what are you working on over at alldolphins.com for Sports Illustrated?
Well, as mentioned before, I'm going to go inside right now and start compiling the complete, and I mean complete, practice notes and observations, and also a couple of stories with everything around it. Maybe attack, the idea of who's going to play and how much in the preseason opener, because we no longer get Mike McDaniel, so we will not get any definitive answers on that until about an hour and a half before game time on Saturday.
Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. And, of course, you can catch him twice a week here doing his thing with our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report. Alain, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you immensely. Be safe out there in Tampa. Enjoy the stay. Take it easy. There you go, the great Alain Poupart. Give us 2 minutes here. Marcel Louis Jacques is next.